But I can tell you that when we did start our channel and we were in the early stages of trying to grow, Vaush, along with, of all people, Tim Pool, were individuals that had Jen come on their podcast. And as a result, it helped. Yeah. It helped grow the channel. It helped us break through those initial stages, which are very, very difficult to do. But especially that I may have been the first or second time that Jen went on with Vaush and we cross-streamed it directly to our channel. We ended up getting probably in excess of about 2,000 subscribers when it was all said and done.
And here's the thing. I really like him. Yeah, I just do. And I that does not mean I agree with him on everything. It doesn't mean that I would vote for him for political office. It simply means what it means. I like him. He's nice to me. I like I find he has an interesting sense of humor. I think he's bright. All the reasons that I would like to have conversations with people. And it's weird to me that sort of like means that I'm like swearing a blood oath allegiance to somebody's complete mindset. And if I don't agree with every single thing he says, then I'm a fraud.
Well, that's like the same thing.
Like that's, well, right. But now someone like Vaush and I agree on, I'd say more than half.
Yeah.
Like we probably agree on more than half of things. We have definitely differences in foreign policy.
The problem, of course, is that if you disagree on foreign policy, that it is considered a blood oath of sorts in the standpoint that if you don't agree, then that's a non-starter, and therefore the person must be cut off altogether.
And I don't agree because, again, I'm going to reiterate, I like him.
Yeah.
He's nice.
And that is the same truth when it comes to why Vaush likes Jen. I am sure there are things that Jen espouses that Vaush does not agree with.
Yeah, but he doesn't cut people off for not agreeing with them.
Correct.
He doesn't ever do that.
This is also the problem with social media. And of course, everyone's always ready, willing, and able to jump down somebody's throat.
Yeah.
Like, for example, we put out this fairly viral tweet regarding Labor Day and why being a billionaire is really only possible through worker and consumer exploitation.
I'm so tired
And then there are people who want to get into this little minutia about, well, technically if you made $100,000 and you got to pay taxes.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
Right, oh, well, if you created this thing, shouldn't you be able to make as much money as possible? And I'm thinking it's not possible because you can't bring it to scale without an actual operation. It's not possible.
And in other words, you were living off of whatever government socialism subsidies in order to get to that. Every single one of them is only there because they lied, cheated, or stole one way or another. Either they fucked their workers, they fucked the environment, or they fucked their taxes.
And if you're,
or all three.
And if you're really paying attention, and this gets into an even greater issue that we see now, you think about what it actually takes to become a mega rich person. And that's not even necessarily scratching the surface of being a billionaire and what it takes to get to that $1 billion level. Jeff Bezos is worth over $100 billion. He may be worth something closer to $200 billion. Oh
my God.
And you know what he has said? Amazon doesn't turn profit.
Fuck the poor.
How is that possible?
Because he takes it as a loss.
How could he possibly be this rich if everything indicates that his business model is a failure?
Unless somehow he's being subsidized by, I don't know, you?
That could be the case.
Is he being subsidized by you?
Not only that, but part of the reason why Bezos is as rich as he is because Bezos, much like who I believe is the most sinister and evil billionaire of them all, Bill Gates. These men, what do you think they do with every ill-gotten dollar? They buy land. And what do they do with that land? Well, in the case of Bezos, he builds these mega mall-sized distribution centers. And he puts it in very valuable areas like Miramar, Florida. The commodity of that land is worth tens of millions, if not in some cases, $100 million. And that's just one distribution center. That's one distribution center of what would you think? What would you figure that land would 100,000 square feet?
Oh, it's all of his centers are ridiculous.
200,000 square feet.
They're all like ridiculous.
That's where the value comes in. It's the land, and it's the fact that without housing, without commercial space for food,
but the jobs,
yes,
you got to save the jobs.
Assembly line jobs where you literally have to walk around with a diaper on. And I'm only using Amazon as an example because the Waltons and the Walmart family are just as guilty. The one thing I will say about Amazon that they do better than Walmart, at least Amazon has some pride in the design and style, the aesthetic of what they do. Walmart is and I will never hide away from saying this, Walmart is the most disgusting facility I've ever walked into, ever. And it is a collection of all the crap in society that should just be emblematic of what is wrong.
It's like a giant big thing of plastic from China. That's how I think of Walmart. It's like just plastic from China.
Well, that's where they get most of their stuff from. And let's be honest, it is a collection. China. If you think about Walmart and the model, if you think about what it really represents in so many ways, it's the disintegration of the working class and small business all throughout the country thrown together under one roof. Whether it is produce, whether it is frozen food, whether it is clothes, whether it is leisure items, whether it is home appliance items. Everything under one roof with the cheapest, least effective, useless material that I literally feel like, you know how you say you feel like a certain aura around certain people?
Yeah.
Positive energy, negative energy. I feel such negative energy walking into Walmart. I can't even go in there.
I can't go to Walmart. But I also can't go into any of the dollar stores either. I cannot go in a dollar store. I can't stand the way they smell. There's this smell to a dollar store, and I don't know exactly what it is. It smells like old boxes that were in warehouses somewhere far away and then got shipped over here to just unload them on people for $1, I guess. I don't know. Just dollar stores smell to me. I just cannot.
So when Vaush comes out and says that President Biden is the most pro-union president of his lifetime,
we should invite him on to chat about this.
I think we could have a conversation about it. Now, of course, the video doesn't indicate that he's basically saying that Joe Biden is this grandiose, wonderful president who hasn't done bad things.
No.
Now, is Joe Biden the most pro-union president since Ronald Reagan? Yes, he is.
So that's the thing. So what Vaush said, and he did say pro-union, right?
Correct.
He didn't say pro-labor. And that's a distinction that I don't know if he intended to make or just that I think is an important one to make. But, you know, in his lifetime, and guys, remember, Vaush is really young. He's in his late 20s.
Hard to believe, because people think Vaush is a lot older than
so
he
he's
really
very young. So
it's
his lifetime, he's technically accurate. And what that says is we've fallen very far. We're in a really bad place for labor right now. But he's not wrong. I don't see why you would put that out, because Joe's not good for labor. So to say he's
now again, and we're not going to bring up other channels because we're friends with Vaush, but there are other channels that are basically going down this path. And if you guys want to see a really good video, check out Tim Black's video from last night. Not going to say anything further, just check it out. The point is, this capitulation to the Democratic establishment and President Biden this far out from the election with no concessions, nothing, this idea that he is a president of the working man is simply not true. And we're going to prove it to you right now that he's not. Because even if he is the most pro-union president overlooking the likes of Donald Trump, Barack Obama, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, George H.W. Bush, and Ronald Reagan, that is a low bar. We will be having this discussion because guess what? Richard Nixon was a much more pro-union president than Joe Biden is. Now, again, where are we today? We're in the post-Reagan era. Now, you want to say that things are not as terrible? Sure. That doesn't mean that things are good.
Right.
In fact, they're really, really bad, and we're going to show you why right now.
Well, you know what I just prefer, it's like when we say something like, you know, somebody could easily say, Ron DeSantis is the best governor Florida's had in my lifetime. And that's because we had 2 terms of Rick Scott before we had Ron DeSantis. But that doesn't mean that somebody's actually thinking Ron DeSantis is being a great governor. It's the same thing. So yeah, Joe Biden in Vaush's lifetime, Vaush is less than 3 decades. So that's not a lot of years. So in his lifetime, it's true.
Well, you know what? We have a clip here of Vaush talking about Biden. So let's cue it up and let's see what he has to say.
Over the past week, we've seen introductions of rules and policy from the NLRB, which would probably make this the most pro-union presidency in a century. Without exaggeration. I mean, I don't want to get into the details again, but like the changes that have been made and proposed, we'll see if they get challenged in court or destroyed or taken down or whatever. But so far, it looks like for some reason we have seen this ridiculous upsurge both in on-the-ground union activity and in the aiding and abetting of the Biden administration. And well, the NLRB isn't directly from Biden, of course. They, certainly work in tandem on this. I have no doubt of that. Approval of labor unions by party ID. 88% of Democrats approve of unions. And even for Republicans, it's about 50-50. That's pretty good, especially considering that Biden is now, as I understand it, the most pro-union president in a century. I'm sorry, it's true. With what he's presided over in such a short time, that's a pretty strong wedge to pull people on. That's kind of good.
So he's wrong. We believe he's wrong, but does not mean I don't like Vaush, and I'd still love to have him on to discuss because I think he's sweet. But anyway,
he wanted to say he was the most pro-union president since Ronald Reagan became president of the United States. He's insinuating this idea that, first of all, Vaush, love you, baby, but let's be honest. If you're talking about a century, what you're saying is that Joe Biden is more pro-union than FDR. You gotta be a little bit more nuanced in how you say this. Now, you want to say that he's pro-union enough that it should warrant you voting for him because you believe that the needle is moving in the right direction. The one argument that Vaush did make, which is valid, and I think we all need to be nuanced about these issues, is the fact that the National Labor Relations Board, the NLRB, has been moving in the right direction.
In the correct direction.
Correct direction. There's no denying that. I know what this the right direction. Yeah, whatever.
In the correct
direction, politically correct.
In the direction of labor.
So when they issue, and again, we're just gonna give an abbreviated review of exactly what Vaush was talking about when it comes to this particular issue, alluding to the NLRB and what they were doing. The NLRB says, and I quote, that workers have a right to organize and form a union. Correct. Guess what? That is already enshrined in law. The problem is that for the past several decades, or even generations for that matter, they've been completely skirting the issue, and they're pretending like that law is not in place, that you don't have to, and you've even said it's a First Amendment issue.
It's a First Amendment issue. It is freedom of assembly.
Yes, it is freedom of assembly.
Who am I, Amy Coney Island, that I don't know my 5 freedoms in my First Amendment? Of course I do.
Well, the fact is, if you look at most of the people who sit on the Supreme Court today, they probably couldn't cite half of what's in that book, even though you should be able to read this thing inside. The Constitution is like a Bible thumper's Bible. That's what this is. You should be able to read it inside and out, but the
right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. That is organizing. Yeah. That is organizing. It's freedom of assembly, freedom of association. That is organizing. First Amendment issue. The fact that there's an NLRB to specifically oversee labor issues is important because there are certain things that are specific to labor that should be overseen by a labor board. But to say that that's a violation just of something with the NLRB laws is not true.
Conservative friend of the show, Ray Affinity, good to see you. Thank you for checking in. Now, again, the issue here regarding unions is very simple. When somebody says I'm neutral on unions, bad or good, yes, guess what? Unions are good and they're bad.
Yeah.
And you know how you know whether they're bad or good? It's very, very simple. When it comes to any policy whatsoever within a labor union, there is only one thing that truly matters. Do the rank and file have a say in policy, yes or no?
Right.
In the biggest unions, teachers union, the AFL-CIO.
The rank and file don't have a say.
They don't have a say.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.